Welcome back, Sunrise Daily. Well, usually he's the one that sits on this side, but he's on the other side now. So let's find out where Chimlin Uso has been. Hello, Chimlin.
Yeah, good to be back.
Welcome back.
Yes, indeed, and thank you very much. It was I've been away. Everybody knows that, but I was in Israel.
Okay.
And I didn't go for what they think I went for.
Oh, what do we think you went for? Okay, so you had a trip more like a behind-the-scene look at things going on there. What did you find?
Well, you know, at the time, that was when all of this speculation about where is Nnamdi Kanu, as it were. So we had briefings with the Israeli Foreign Affairs Ministry. Yaki Lopez is in the ministry. But we had Emmanuel Nashon, Ambassador Emmanuel Nashon. So he's the spokesperson of the Israeli Foreign Affairs Ministry. And he spoke to us. But I did ask him pointedly that is the man in question in Israel at the moment. He says, well, that he's checked the last time he had a conversation about that with the embassy in Abuja. They had told him that Nnamdi's details, passport details or documents had been seized at the time, and that if he was in Israel at the time, that the border security would know and several other people would know, but they were going to check and get back to us and see whether or not he was in the country at the time. But we couldn't lay hands on him afterwards. So I guess they were just trying to be cautious. Nobody wants any diplomatic spat at this point in time.
Eventually, some videos were played about Nnamdi Kanu being in Israel, and then some other video still on Israeli television about Nnamdi Kanu. But was that all you went in there to look at?
No. Those ones were separate. But you know, when we were there, I guess what we went there for, if I had chased this other item, it might have been a different kettle of fish entirely. But one could understand the perspective of the Israeli government, because the way the media works is completely different, and how they're regulated is different from how it works here. The military has a key role to play, and I'm not saying we should borrow that leaf here, but we have an interesting scenario here which works for a lot of people. But yes, all of those were said, but I guess much later. We'll see how that plays out.
How's the Gaza Strip? Did you visit there?
Yes, it was a nervy visit. It's beyond, you know, what we kind of hear, the narrative that a lot of people know. If you haven't visited, or if all you know is what you read or watch on television, it's a completely different feel. Because even before we got the permission to drive down there, it took a while. So as we drove down, by the way, what we just saw now is a bomb shelter. So it's a large expanse of land. So the Gaza Strip. So we were at the northern border of the Gaza Strip, the much talked about, the much disputed Gaza Strip. It's a very, you know, when you're there, you're on edge. You just feel, look, anything could go off at any time. We even experienced that while we were there at the time. So we had a drive through, and lots of people had their hearts in their mouths. But yeah, we were in good company. So upon getting to it, there's a community there. It's called Native Hasara. Now, in that same community, you have about 850 people who are living there on 875 hectares of land. They've got about 200 children who are there. So, and it borders between the Palestinian end and the Israeli end, which is Gaza. So these communities live there. And so you can imagine how they live. They bear the direct brunt. If there were to be any rocket attacks or shells or mortars, this community got to feel it first. And so while we saw all of those, there were lots of questions concerning how is it that they're able to go through this on a daily basis.
Well, okay, we'll take a moment and come back to see how is it they're able to go through this, and then the other things you found out on your trip in Israel. Please join us again. Welcome back. So, Chimlin, that community you were at, over 800 people living there, and then children, how safe are they?
Well, it turns out that they have bomb shelters almost scattered in different parts of that community. It's such that when there's any attack, people have less than 60 seconds. That's the maximum of time you have to get to shelter. So they explained a lot of all of those things to us while we were there. And I just happened to, I picked up one of the mortars, the shell that struck the town, as it were, at that time. And that then led us to go see those shelters. They even have those shelters in bus stops as well. So what we were told as well is that the attacks usually, it turns out this was one of them. And I just had to see real life experience what exactly happens and how they cope. This is a bomb shelter. So they have this in bus stops as well. So in case any attack happens, you just have to abandon the bus or whatever you're doing and get into a shelter. Even homes in that native Asara, which is on the northern part of the Gaza Strip, they also do have bomb shelters. Now, this fence you see here, there are cameras all through this particular fence. Now, they had to build this wall, which was done in 2005. They had a protective wall, which I understand is about 9 meters. Now, after the protective wall, which is meant to protect the farmland, they have this one, which is called the decorative wall, about 12 meters. It turns out that the reason why this came up was the attacks were targeting children between the time of 7 to 8 a.m., 3 to 4 p.m., when children are going to school and returning to school. So in order to prevent them from seeing movement, they put up this wall.
And has it been effective?
Well, yes, they said that it has. And besides, there were also tunnels. They discovered that they built tunnels from the Palestinian end right into this particular community in Gaza. So somehow they developed a technology. They say they can see the tunnels from the sky now. So that's how they've taken all of this. But when we left this particular community, we then got to the Gaza crossing. The Gaza crossing is where the Israelis and the Palestinians exchange goods and services and products. We understand that about 700 of these trucks move in a regular every day, and they search. That's why you see some of those ripped apart. They search them to ensure that, look, nothing suspicious.
But there's still some level of trade between the Israelis and the Palestinians.
They do. We understand that they say the PLO gives the Israeli end a list. The Israeli Defense Force, the spokespersons, the unit spoke to us explaining that, yes, they give them a list of what they need, so they get those things and supply them. And so they also said they found out that some of the cement that they were supplying to the PLO was being used to build those tunnels. And so when we did ask, how do you guys find out, since you couldn't get it, say, well, they've got intelligence to identify all of this. And so it was a very unique experience in terms of how things work beyond the headlines, beyond all of those, as a result of the quick fire nature of news and current affairs, you may miss out on some of these things. So
what about the Wailing Wall? I was going to ask you about the psyche of the people, the Israelis, the Palestinians. Do you have conversations with them, what they're thinking? And
yeah, we were also able to see the Holocaust Museum. There's no way you won't be moved emotionally when you get there. So that relayed a lot of experiences that they went through. And then they came up with that phrase and mantra, never again, which is it's always going to put them on their toes and ensure that they don't expose themselves to become victims of such attacks again. And so about the Wailing Wall, yes, I was fortunate. If I got there, so I had the opportunity to pray for the country. The elections are coming up. Yeah. So we need to be sure that we'll still come out in one piece for this country. And the Lord heard me when I did that. Actually.
Amen. We continue to have peace in our land. Welcome back, Chamberlain.
Thank you. Good to be back.
And that's our show today. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.
The views and opinions expressed by guests on this program are those of the maker and do not necessarily reflect the views, opinions, and endorsement of Channels Television.